Hello, yes, it's me again. How did you get on with last week's card sketch challenge layout? That's not easy to say. Anyway, it's time for number 2 in the series of 50, yes, 50 card sketch layouts for 2022. Okay, a quick look through some of the bits that I've dragged out. An assortment of distress inks, a blending brush, a die, a sentiment die in fact, some cog wheels, some foil, and a massive roll of double-sided tape, together with assorted papers and cards, the textured ones this time coming from the Craft Consortium pad there that you saw. Now I'm just going to do some chopping of these papers because they're too large for what I need. First of all, the card base I'm making from black cardstock. Apologies for the lighting, I'm trying a new camera. I don't think I like it at all, so look out for changes in the future. I'm basically just doing a 6x8 piece of card and folding that in half to give a 6x4. And then I'm going to chop some of these papers down, as I said, because they're a bit too big for what I need. So I'm actually chopping them down into 6x6 papers, and then I've got several pieces that I can put away for later. If I'd have taken my time and thought about it, I could have actually cut the strips directly from the large sheet without having to section it off. But, you know, you think of these things afterwards. Now, on one of the large pieces of coloured cardstock, I'm sticking a massive piece of double-sided tape. And then I'm going to coat that with, now it's actually heat-activated foil, but it will work on dry cold press techniques as well. So basically just sticking it to an adhesive, rubbing it over, and then peeling away the carrier sheet. Da-da-da. Looks funky, doesn't it? Just chopping away a couple of bits that I think will cause me a problem later and cutting it down so it will fit through the die cutting machine. Okay, now to chop down the layers for the card, and of course, as ever, these are going to be available as a printable PDF sheet from the blog gentlemancrafter.com. Look out for the link below the video on YouTube. Or if you're already on the blog, then ta-da, just click on the download button. Cutting up the strips, trying to decide which I'm going to use. Now, I'm going to do some ink blending, and I will speed this bit up because it did take a few minutes to do. But basically, I'm going in with a Hickory Smoke Distress ink first, and then a Rusty Hinge. And this is just to give it sort of a aged effect, although it does already have quite an aged effect. I also scrunched the bottom of the long strips as well, just to give a little bit of, I don't know, something. Using the Pinflair bookbinding glue to stick the layers down. And then also that glue for the strips as well, but I'm using my gridded ruler to make sure that I put it in the position that I planned. They can of course be changed if you want to, and if you do things like that, do make sure to make a note on the printed download sheet that you've got. That will have the layout plus a picture of this card for inspiration. But there's space at the bottom, a little bit of space at the bottom, so you can make notes about stuff you've used to make a card or alterations you want to make to a future version. It's up to you. I just thought it was a cool idea to expand on what I was doing last year, which, by the way, is still accessible on YouTube and the blog. So if you need any more inspiration, there's over 100 card layouts there already. Okay, just doing a bit of die cutting. Random things from random colours, basically, I think is how this went. But generally you could plan it out in advance so that you don't end up wasting anything. Now I've got some various cog dies here, so I'm just cutting some of those out as I thought they might add some cool industrial look to this card, which has a very, what's the word, distressed industrial feel already. Now I cut a circle from that sort of rosy goldy, not rose gold, copper colour, and I was originally going to be using that as the circular background, but I decided to change that plan and go with a black circle and then team that up with the orange. Now, spoiler alert, I didn't quite like how the orange worked out, and I probably would have gone back to using the metallics, but I may have changed it out for sort of a rustier gold colour instead of the red of the copper. Is it copper or bronze? No, bronze is more yellow, isn't it? But anyway, hey-ho. Like I said, try and plan something as opposed to just randomly throwing things on your desk. Although, sometimes that does work. So whatever works for you. Don't forget, you can obviously share the creations that you make that are inspired by these layouts in my Facebook group. I will leave a link to that both on the blog and below the video on YouTube. So feel free to come along and join and share the cards that you make as part of this series. It'll be cool to see what you make. Last year I got through 100 and it was just kind of lots of lovely feedback, which was very nice. But when people started suggesting, why don't we have a group where we can share the ideas, I thought, how brilliant. I love it. Okay, there we go. Now, as ever, I started changing my mind about various things, and I chose a different die to work at the bottom. And I think the reason that I did this was because basically I was thinking it's imbalanced or not balanced. I still used the original die cut though. I did think, by the way, actually, if you chop bits out of those cogs, they'd make great flowers if you shape them into cones. Now, I kind of went with those cogs as they were, but I thought to give a bit more balance, what I needed to do was add just something. So I kind of had gems to hand, but these could be like metallic pearls. So if you are making this a more masculine card, or whatever we seem to think of as masculine cards in card making, then they don't have to be sparkly, glittery gems. They could be more DIY themed. Screw heads, that one, that'd work. The Battle of the Gems 2022 has already started, as you can see. That's basically me wrestling with tiny gems. Okay, I think that kind of helped. What do you think? Leave your comments and thoughts either on the blog or on the comments section of YouTube. Either will work. Now, one thing I love about this Pinflair bookbinding glue is, while it's still wet, you can take something off and rub away the glue. How amazing is that? Not sure it'd work with every single card in the world, but it worked for this one. And there we go. Number 2 done. Okay, that's card number 2 done. Not quite what I'd set out for, but I'm happy nonetheless, as it's a little bit of creative time to keep things moving along. Don't forget to come download the free card sketch layout from the blog, gentlemancrafter.com. And of course, if you would like to, please like and subscribe before leaving today, and that way you'll get notified of new videos from me in the future. Okay, that's it for this one. Thanks very much for watching. Hope to see you next time.